Hey guys, and welcome back to another video of ECK Sports, and today I'm going to be figuring out who the most improved player of 2024 is. If you enjoy content like this, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into it. And the first player in today's video that improved greatly from 2023 to 2024 is going to be Kaden Irwin. Kaden, throughout his first few years in the league, was always a pretty below average pitcher. He served as the Mallards' number 2 arm. He was not able to consistently throw strikes, get outs, and limit the damage. But this year, that all changed. Not only was he able to be a great number 2 arm, he ended up being the ace over time. As this year, he posted a 1.8 ERA with a 2.06 FIP, 45.7 strikeout percentage, a 17.2 walk percentage, 28.5 K to walk rate, a 214 BAA, and a 76 pitching minus. Huge improvements from Kaden on basically every stat, and he really showed it this year when he led the Cobras to the ALCS, shut out the Magic, and put up a really good fight in that ALCS. So Kaden, huge improvement from 2023 to 2024, and will definitely be highly considered for this award. And coming up next, we have Sawyer Behen. Now this offseason, Sawyer went from the Cobras to the Gators, the second player in today's video who got traded in this offseason, and that change of scenery really helped him out. This year on the mound, he had a 1.78 ERA with a 2.37 FIP, 47% strikeout rate, 31.4% walk rate, a 15.2% K to walk rate. He has one of the best BAAs in the league at 1.75, a 1.6 pitching WAR, and 83 pitching minus. At the plate, he really improved. He's now hitting around 300 with a 435 on base, 622 slugging, and 1000 OPS with a 47% K rate, 20% walk rate, 0.9 batting WAR, and a 140 batting plus. Both on the mound and at the plate in 2023, he was below average. And this year, he was much better than average on both sides of the ball this year. Not only did he solidify himself as a top 10 player, but he also proved that he could be an ace and a reliable bat at the plate. Coming up next is going to be the guy that had one of the best hitting seasons we have ever seen in this league, and that is Daniel Schultz. He batted .298 with a 636 on base, a 684 slugging, a 1300 OPS, 24.5 K rate, near 50% walk rate with a 5 batting WAR, and a 221 batting plus. Just so you know, the average player has around a 100 batting plus, so he was over 120 points higher than a league average hitter. And this comes after having his worst season ever at the plate in 2023. I was one of the doubters. I did not think he'd be able to bounce back, and he proved me wrong, and a lot of others as well. This might be one of the greatest comebacks we have ever seen. But Dan was just an absolute on-base, walks machine. He hit for power, did everything you asked him to do, came up big in the World Series, and that's why he's here, and he certainly has a great chance of winning this award. And next up on today's video is another guy who a lot of people thought were washed, and maybe some people thought Daniel Schultz could bounce back, but nobody thought Chadwick could come back, and that he did. This year, he shocked everybody by hitting over 300 with a 400 on base, a 500 slugging, a 915 OPS. He dropped the K rate by 6 points. He had a 13.5% walk rate, 0.5 batting WAR, and a 106 batting plus. Last year, he was over 38 points below league average, and this year he is now 6 points above league average. And for the WAR stat, last year he was hurting his team more than helping his team. And this year, helping his team more than hurting his team. It is great to see Chadwick return to form after he struggled on all those terrible Gators and Magic teams. And while he missed the playoffs this year, if he can continue this level of play, I'm sure himself and the Gators will have great success. And that is why I have him up for most improved this year. And next up, we have Andy Durant. Andy is different than anybody else on this list. Everybody else here played 2023 and improved from 2023 to 2024. But Andy did not play at all in 2023 and retired for that year before coming back this year and putting on a very good season. He hit near 300 with a 373 on base, 493 slugging, an 886 OPS, 0.4 batting WAR, and 92 batting plus. So I know what you're saying. You see that 92 batting plus, you see it's below average. When you compare that to his 2022 numbers, and you also consider the fact that he did not play at all in 2023, that definitely qualifies him to be on here. A lot of people view the most improved player as kind of a comeback award as well, so I think Andy is a great candidate for this award. And while his first half of the season might have been a little bit fluky, he was still overall a solid player, and his improvement really helped bolster the Cobras offense into that ALCS. The Cobras certainly have a lot to thank him for even making it to the playoffs in the first place. And the last player in today's video is going to be Preston Kolm. Preston, statistically, probably improved more than anybody else. He hit for 360 average with a 490 on base, 462 slugging, a 591 OPS, 38% K rate, 20% walk rate with a .8 batting WAR, and a 126 batting plus. I mean, if you look at these statistics, he upped his average by around 160 points, his OPS by over 400, he dropped his K rate by 8 points, his WAR by 1 point, and his batting plus by a near 100 points. With the regression of Tommy Coughlin and Brendan Jorgensen and Jordan Robles at the plate, Preston was able to step in there and become the Mallards' best hitter this year. And while the power still isn't there, and that's a big concern, being a guy that can just consistently get on base, hit for a 360 clip, which led the league, that has an insane amount of value. And if you have Jordan Robles and Tommy Coughlin playing as they should, then his value increases even more. I would like to mention a few other guys. Landon Urquides could absolutely be on here because he did not play much of 2023 and played amazingly in 2024, but at the same time, he was still very elite in 2023, and if you look at the statistic comparison, there isn't much difference between the 2 years. I would also like to mention Brendan Zerlak, who had a similar amount of ABs in both 2023 and 2024, but at the same time, I feel like I can't give it to a player who only had around 30 plate appearances and only played one game in the first half, so there's just not enough volume for Zerlak for me to even consider him. I know this is going to sound silly, but I would also like to mention Jordan Robles for his pitching. His hitting took a huge step down, and if his hitting stayed at around where it was in the last 2 years, not only would he be guaranteed MVP, but he would also be in big consideration for this award as well, because his pitching went from people calling him not an ace and is definitely going to be the Cy Young Award winner this year. And lastly, I kind of have to laugh a little bit, but MLW did nominate Casey Bennett on their ballot. His OPS dropped by over 200 points. I guess he got a win on the mound. Congrats to Casey for making it, but he really shouldn't be here. So with all that said, it is time to pick who should be the most improved player of 2024. And honestly, I truly feel like any of these guys can win it. I think you do have to eliminate both Jason Chadwick and Andy Durant just because their improvement wasn't as steep. But with Irwin, I mean, you take a guy that was a number 2 arm, taking him into an ace. Well, his statistical improvements weren't as drastic as the other 3 guys. That honestly might have more value than any of these other improvements. But at the same time, you do have Sawyer Behen, who took a similar leap on the mound and also took a huge leap at the plate. So I feel like I have to eliminate Kaden. When it comes to Dan and Preston improved immensely. And it really depends on how you look at this award. Some people could look at it as a breakout award. And in that case, you're like, okay, Preston should be up here. Kaden should be up here. Based on what the award actually is, it is about who actually improved the most. And Dan overall did improve more than Preston did. And now it is Sawyer versus Dan. The last 2 I'm going to be considering. And I do have to give it to Daniel Schultz. When you go from an OPS around 700 to 800 to an OPS around 1300, there is just no way that I cannot give him this award. And Sawyer was great. He improved on both sides of the ball. But at the same time, you have Dan, who put up one of the most impressive on base and just overall hitting seasons we've ever seen. He cut his K rate by over 20%, raised his walk rate by about 30. His WAR went up by 4.9%. His batting plus went up by 140 points. His OPS went up by 500 points. And that is why I think he should be and will be the 2024 most improved player. But thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.